All right, awesome. So you guys are working through this. It's amazing. Congratulations, you're doing a great job. I want to now look into like some actual application of this principle. And Dale, he gives this insane example. I think is so powerful. So let's go over to the computer and I want to share it with you because it's huge. So he's got this student, he's going through this course, right? And he's dealing with some of his clients in a dealer that he has kind of in Montana, right? And so, he reported that there's a lot of pressure sort of in the automobile industry, right? To sell like everybody that walks in a car, right? Which is kind of harsh, but it's just kind of how it works. Because, he sort of like can't really listen as much to complaints or to suggestions, just because again, the focus is on like selling, right? And so he was often sort of hard-boiled when he was dealing with businesses and client complaint. And what it did is if you don't listen to people and if you don't like make them feel like you're actually caring about them and you are really gonna change your actions because of them, right? You have to care about them. It can just sort of crush your ability to have really intimate connections with others and have an impact on them, right? Because if people don't think like that you care about them, what's it gonna do? It's gonna totally crush the connection that you could possibly have with clients or with friends. It doesn't matter, right? You've got to give them a feeling of significance, or else you're gonna have flared tempers, loss of business, just bad situations come up, which is just not the goal, right? And so he told the class recognizing that it was getting him nowhere fast by just ignoring people and glancing over problems, decided to try to apply this principle, which is just huge, right? He took what he was learning and he took action on it and he did it, which is just so powerful. And so he said something like basically to his clients, he would say, our dealership has made so many mistakes that I am frequently ashamed we may have erred in your case. Tell me about it. Now, what does this do, all right? Besides saying, tell me about it, which allows the other person to tell their own side of the story and to tell, their selves and to express themselves, which, that's all anybody really wants is to be listened to and cared about. What it does is it makes them want to defend you because you're like belittling yourself and you're saying, look, I am very often wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. Please help me. And the other person is going to naturally want to defend you and say, no big deal, you're doing a great job, you're the best ever, this is why you're super helpful and super awesome, blah. And it all comes down to this concept of just adding so much to others that they'll want to reciprocate. And that's exactly what happens when you say, look, I might be wrong, let's work through it, tell me about the challenge you're having, let's overcome it, not as a matter of fact or as a matter of duty, but instead as a group and a team that wants to collaborate and work towards the best possible effort together, because that's really the goal. And that's a huge mindset shift that comes from this very simple concept, actually caring and trying to work through the best situation, understanding wholeheartedly that there's a chance you might be wrong. And that's okay. That's human and that's the goal, right? Is to just be natural. Which is so great. And what's so cool is like this approach becomes quite disarming, right? I mean, people are going to be much more comfortable working with you, speaking with you, and just developing their lives with you. And that's exactly what happens here, right? This approach becomes quite disarming, and by the time the client releases their feelings, they're usually much more reasonable. Remember, most people, all they really want is a feeling of significance. If you can give that to them, it'll change everything. Literally, like, it's so powerful. Like, I remember the other day, like, you guys know, like, I love all the nice friends I have, and especially those, like, at least right now, like, I made tons of friends, and they do work. You're sort of in, like, the lunchrooms around the campus, right? And, like, they will literally yell at me across the whole place, have me stop everything, come over, walk over, and just try to be in my presence because, like, I'm one of the few people there that makes them feel significant. And so if you can do that to somebody, it'll add so much value into their lives. It'll change everything. And like, I just can't express how powerful this is because it's not just about always being positive. It's not just about always being super happy, super excited, saying you're the best ever, woohoo. I mean, that's a big part of it. But another huge aspect, aside from this positivity, is what you do when you have maybe some slight challenges. And what you do here directly affects how people perceive you when you're positive, and it directly affects how people perceive you as a whole person, right? And so you want to make sure that you have the best possible way to work through these challenges, not on your own, but with others, and to strengthen that bond and that relationship as you succeed. I remember, you're only supposed to get like a couple of meats for breakfast, and like I'm like, dude, I need some protein, I need some eggs, like pork, give me some beef, like eat some food, right? I didn't have as many greens in the morning, so I would just kind of like do like a protein shake or smoothie in the morning. And then I'll go and just grab a bunch of protein. And at the beginning, they were like, look, we can only do, a couple of meats. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds great. That's awesome. But you just keep asking, just being persistent over and over and over and over again. And within like 2 weeks, dude, like every single day for the rest of, the semester, it's just like, here, have whatever you want, because you've added so much value to others by being positive, by consistently every single day showing up and being there for them, that they say, 100%. Why? Well, there's no reason not to serve you, right? Because you serve them by working together rather than trying to put yourself up on some kind of pedestal and then separating yourself from others. Like, that's just not the way to do it, right? And then this guy says that actually several clients thanked him for having such an understanding attitude, when literally all he did was ask them to talk about themselves and their own problems, because that's all people want, is to be heard. And 2 of them even brought in friends to buy new cars. And in a really big, competitive, automobile market, like, they need more of these clients. And the best way to do that is to show respect for all clients' opinions and treat them diplomatically and courteously to just destroy the competition. You see the word diplomatic and courteous, but mostly diplomatic. You see it a lot in this text because it's such a powerful concept. And I was talking with like some other people about this trade deals that are going on and all this news and how it's going to affect the market, especially after the inverted yield curve. They're all talking about the way that the president is sort of working through stuff with China, but most importantly, like, the communication between the two, right? Because the communication is just ratchet, it's terrible. And you see have like one side of the party that's trying to prove the other wrong and say, you're the worst and I'm dominant and I'm better than you. Not actually care about the other side, not actually work together, but instead really try to work independently. And if you just work for your own self-interest, the other person is not going to come to your side of an argument. They're not gonna work with you. They're not gonna be happy to be around you because they feel isolated, they feel alone, they feel like they're not being cared about because they don't have that feeling of significance, importance, and social recognition coming from the work you're doing together. And instead, what happens, which is so often, is that they're here going hard, going on their own, and all of a sudden they feel awful because you're doing everything on your own. You're not showing any respect, you're not being reasonable, taking the challenge as if it was only your own instead of trying to work together as a team. And it's so important to be able to just drop your barriers, drop your beliefs, drop your sense of always wanting to be right. Raise your hand and say, look, I need some help. Let's work through this together. I'm gonna listen to you because I understand that your perspective, your opinion, your ideology is very powerful. And I should care about whatever you're working through, because only by combining different people's opinions can you really get the full picture. And the more individuals you can have come together, the bigger the picture gets. It's not a limited thing. It's the ideas are in abundance. And the goal, right, is to expand your mastermind more, so that you can have more success. I want you to imagine that the bigger your picture gets, the more you can expand your horizons and be more and do more and succeed more, the more value you're gonna deliver to the marketplace, the more income you're gonna derive, the more assets you'll have. And it all comes from expanding your base and being more by having more connections, having more relationship assets that will fundamentally change everything you have. It's just so powerful, so huge. It all comes from this single concept of collaboration, not constant bogus, right? Fair enough, that makes sense. That sounds awesome. I hope you guys are getting this because it is so huge. And you learn how you can see how you can apply this, right? It's massive, right? And then he has this one statement that I just think is so powerful, and hopefully you guys can apply this, and I really hope you're getting this. He says, you will never get into trouble by admitting that you may be wrong. That will stop all argument and inspire your opponent to be just as fair and open and broad-minded as you are. It will make him want to admit that he too may be wrong. What you're doing is you're putting yourself up here on this pedestal of honesty, right? And you're saying, look, I could be wrong. And other people, they might start down here, but then they see you up on this pedestal and they're like, wow, I want to come up there. And so they build their own pedestal and they go on their own journey to get up here. And now you can build this wholehearted, real relationship together because you're on the same level and you both understand that, look, you know what, might be wrong, not a big deal. Could have a challenge here, that's okay. Because this success will occur, and we'll get to the end result that we want, even if we go through these challenges on an individual basis. And that is so huge, so powerful, and so game-changing because it puts you in the driver's seat and it makes it happen, which is just absolutely huge. So powerful. It all stems from this one concept of doing more. That's the goal with it, right? It's just awesome. So cool. Because if you know positively that a person is wrong and you bluntly tell them that, like, they're gonna feel like crap. Here's a great example. And you know, I heard this example and it was, oh my gosh, it was a game changer for me. And it really made me change a lot of my actions in my day-to-day life. Hopefully you guys can take this example and really understand it and apply it, because this example is just ridiculously powerful. I don't know how he found it, but it's so huge. And I know it changes everything, okay? And it all comes down to this concept of working with others and inspiring them to come up with you together instead of doing kind of what happens here. You know, Mr. S, he was a young New York attorney, and he was arguing an important case in front of the United States Supreme Court. So you've got like your justices on the Supreme Court, and you've got, you know, this attorney guy, and he's arguing this you know, pretty important case. And these guys, you know, the U.S. Supreme Court, like, they are literally the top of the game. I mean, they are the guys in the legal system, right? And it was, you know, Lux Hardin versus Fleet Corporation, you know, whatever, right? And the case involved, you know, a pretty good chunk of change and an important question of law, which is, you know, how it got to the Supreme Court, because it had something to do with the laws.